And continuing our Fantastic Four segment, celebrating 30 years since the release of that show and the release of this line, we're going to be looking at Series 2 now. So we're going to be getting more villains and more support characters, as well as some variants of the core four characters. First up, we get Gorgon over here, one of the Inhumans characters, bigger in Season 2 than they were in Season 1 here. Then we have Dragon Man. Fun fact, was not in the show. Maybe if there was a Season 3. Also another fun fact, Hasbro is offering him right now in the Marvel Legends line. But this is his first appearance here on this card back of the Fantastic Four. We have a variant of Human Torch with Flame Spark action. We showed you the glow-in-the-dark one. That was kind of an afterthought because he wasn't on the card back of the first line, but still dated 94. So I guess Toy Biz packed him in along the Reed Richards and the Thing, because why wouldn't you have your core four in your first line? Then we have Thanos, also never appeared in the show. He's a cosmic entity, so he would have definitely been in the Fantastic Four series if there was a third season. Would have been nice to see him. I believe this is the first action figure ever of Thanos. Over here we have Sue Storm, and she is completely invisible. Although on the card back, as you can see here, it is the 94 version of her that we showed off in Series 1. This one is dated 95 for Series 2. That first one was dated 94 for Series 1. I think it was just a mistake by Toy Biz, and they put the wrong version of the character on the back. Also, a clear version of her you wouldn't be able to see. But I don't think there is a card back featuring the invisible Sue Storm here. But she is Series 2. Over here we have Firelord, one of the, I guess you can't really call him a Herald of Galactus. He was one of the three, but Silver Surfer was the Herald in that first Galactus episode. But he was on there along with Drax that we showed off last time, and he's in the previous wave. So here I think he was only in one episode, but here he is. You get your Firelord. And then at the end we have Blastar, and Blastar was in the Negative Zone episode there with Annihilus, who's not in this series, but he will be in another one. I think he's in Series 3, so we'll be getting to him soon. So we just kind of round out with Blastar there. So, like I said, a lot of support characters, villains that we saw in some episodes, and some that never actually appeared. And don't worry, these aren't the only two that never appeared in an episode. There's one other character in the main line, we'll get to him, I think he's Series 4, that never appeared in an episode. He might have been designed for a future one. And there's another character that never appeared in an episode that almost made it into the line, but he was released the same year, just on a different card back. So we'll have him in here as well. So that is your quick look at all the cards in their packaging, or the characters in their packaging. So why don't we crack these guys open and check them out. All right, we're going to start here with Gorgon really quick. You can see him in his package, and he has his defining hooves right here. Is really all he ever did in the show was just kick people and kick buildings and kick surfaces with his feet. That was his power. His guns here, he comes with guns because you have to give him accessories. He didn't use any in the show, but it would be kind of rough to have a character without any accessories. So he has that articulation in the elbow, which is pretty cool for the time. He's got that full shoulder articulation too. So these guns are kind of funny because this one looks a little reminiscent of Bishop's, and I think it is. Look, it's got that kickback feature there. So fun fact, he's using the gun that Bishop had in that Uncanny X-Men line. You go back and check that out in our review there. This one looks a little different. I don't know if this is Bishop's gun or not. It looks a little different. It might be. I'd have to go back and check, but you guys could also go check that video and see what weapons he has there as well. But that's kind of cool that they reused that. So he's not going to have that feature that Bishop has to load that in place. He bends at the knee here, and he has a little bend at the waist, but his feature is this kick. So you lock the leg in place, and it's supposed to kick up, but I think what we have here is just a little joint that's wearing in and not releasing. It's 30 years old. I know it's new in package, but it's, there we go. It's just not as strong as it should be. Now, in theory, when you click it, it's supposed to kick up like this, but I could feel the tension in the leg here. So I think it's just, it needs time to settle in and to do its thing. This leg is a regular leg, so it doesn't have that ability, but this leg should be kicking up like this, and that's supposed to be his fun feature, but it is not working. So I'll work a little silicone in there or something and try to wear it over time, but maybe one day it will resume its kick. But either way, it's still a nice figure, part of the royal family there, and there are other Inhumans in the line, so you'll be able to get almost all of them actually by the time you finish the line. But yeah, here is your first one, and that's Gorgon, and he has his hooves. He's tough to balance, and he does not have that functioning kick anymore, which is a shame, because that was his only real feature he had. All right, so next up we have that Dragon Man. Like I said, not on the show, but a pretty cool bulky figure nonetheless. So here is that Dragon Man, and he comes with a little fireball here that we're gonna pop into his mouth, and I think he throws it out. Okay, wait, he does press legs together to emit flames. So he does that. He has the emitting flames there. His wings are kind of hanging on there. I don't think they do anything. They're just there. And he has I guess a fireball you're supposed to throw, because I don't see any option for him holding it. So maybe you pretend to throw it out of his hand or something like that. It's a weird accessory to give him, but he does have that tongue. His articulation is, you never notice these figures after a while get a little slimy. So I don't know what that's supposed to be, but I'm getting that effect on this character right now. So he has very limited articulation here. He doesn't have knee joints. He doesn't have wrist joints. His head doesn't articulate. So it's 1, 2, 3, 4 points of articulation. 5 if you count the tail here. And the tail, actually the tail doesn't articulate. Wings don't articulate. They come out. You can take the wings out, but that's really it. Very limited articulation of this guy. He does have that cool fire breathing effect from his mouth, but that's really it. He has a fireball, and that's it. It was a very limited articulating figure. Not much going on with Dragon Man there. But, you know, they added him into the line for maybe anticipating a future episode. They did add the Inhumans before the Inhumans appeared on the show, so I guess they kind of knew where the show could go in the future. So now we have our new Human Torch here. And he is different from the other one. While he still has this launching catapult thing that originally came with Cannonball in the Uncanny X-Men line. So you go back and see our review of that, and they added it to both versions of him. They added it to the Sue Richards version as well. So we're just supposed to pull this. Oh, let's see. Oh, there we go. Wow. So it's a little flint starter on the inside. It's making it flash, but it still works. And it's probably because it's never been used. So not bad. We get that effect still working for Human Torch, and he's got his arms bent. This is a new mold for Human Torch. Before he had the same one as the Silver Surfer with the one hand up. This one is new. His legs and arms articulate, different body entirely. So much nicer. Yeah, these flames are on here. They weren't using the mold for the two characters, and the only other thing he has is the ability to fly, which is just launching a catapult straight up. So that is your Human Torch with his torch-like ability there. So pretty cool for that figure. Next up, we have the Mad Titan himself, Thanos, and his action figure debut. Thanos, I don't think has a whole lot of features to him. Pull back on arm and release for action. So it's this arm, I'm assuming. Yep. So that wasn't that great, but he has his little. Yeah, it works a little, but not really. Like these joints after a while just kind of seize up, and I think it's the plastic just gets weird. But he has this punch ability. So he has Titan Punch. And then he comes with a little man purse here. A bunch of skulls on it and a little Morning Star. And that's basically it. That is his ability here. He's got what looks like an alien skull from the Alien series and a Predator skull. Actually, if you look at that, that is weird. It looks like a Predator skull and this looks like an alien skull. And those are the two accessories he comes with. And then, you know, he's got his face there and his standard cartoon outfit or his comics outfit. He's getting decent articulation for the figure. Just not much of an action feature anymore. And maybe it worked well back in the day, but these joints get kind of weird over time, even though this has never been opened. I think the plastic just gets that weird kind of sticky aspect to it, and it prevents it from really working. So again, I'll have to probably play around with this, add a little silicone spray into the joint, see if I could loosen it. But that's his only feature there, is that punch, that Titan Punch ability. But not a bad figure, particularly made for 1995. Plenty of articulation on this guy. Head doesn't move, but otherwise decent articulation for the time period. Of course, we've gotten much better with those over the years, but back then, not so much. So now we have the Invisible Woman, and she comes in this blue packaging, and I think it's because if they put her on the clear background like this, you probably wouldn't see the figure. So let's try that out. So if I had her here, yeah, it'd be a lot harder to see her in the packaging. So this, I think, is pretty similar to the original mold of her. It's stamped 95 now instead of 94, so it is new. But she has that same articulation that she had before. Even the head articulates, so pretty good articulation on Sue Richards here. No complaint, or Sue Storm, I'm sorry. No complaint there. She could stand on her own, which is good. She has the same sort of moving platform that she had last time, and she has a I don't know, force field, or whatever they're calling it. I think they call it force field here. And she could just grip this in her hand like a shield and hold it up, and then she could ride on this little platform. So it's cool to have a completely translucent version of her. And because this has never seen the light of day, it's not very yellowed. This is a pretty clear copy of Sue, so pretty nice. A lot of these yellow over time, but interesting that the packaging they went with is blue, just to help you see her a little bit better. But yeah, this is a clear version. Now, the first ever action figure of Sue Storm, which we'll go over soon, they had two variants, one with the shield and stuff. The second one was a color changing option where you poured water on it and it would change to a white and to a colored version. So we'll check that one out and see if that still works with the color change. Next up, we have Firelord. And Firelord here was only on one episode, I believe. And basically he was in there with, oh God, what was his name? Drax? With or Terrax. Terrax and Firelord were the backup heralds, where Terrax finally became the herald later on after Silver Surfer moved on. But Firelord had a staff with a fireball in it, or fire on each side. I don't think it fired, but this one does. So it has like a little L hook for launching it, which is pretty cool. So you could launch the, let me get my thumb off of it. You could launch the fireball thusly, or you could keep it in staff mode. So that's pretty cool. He has, it looks like a hole in his hand here. So it matches up with the hole in the staff. And he could hold that staff securely in his hand, even though he doesn't have a grip on it. And it's a really thick staff. So the way this is lined up is it's big enough for him to get his right hand in it, but not his left hand because it's mid-staff. So what they did is they put a hole there, and then you could just push it into the hand and it could be on there securely. It's tough to position it because the hands don't really maneuver that way that you would want it to get in there just right, but eventually you can play around with it and get it just perfectly in there, although it just doesn't want to. The angle at which it goes in is really weird. I don't think they never play with these things when they put them together because they would see it just doesn't work that way because of the angle of the hands. At any rate, here he is with his staff that is very difficult to get into his hand, but he has good articulation in the arms and in the legs still. Pretty decent articulation for this class of figure. A lot of paint applications on him. I think he looks pretty good. I mean, that fire looked like on the hair there, the white belt, everything to him. If you could ever get this staff to work, that would look pretty good in his hands as well. But yeah, I think he looks pretty decent there for a character that only appeared in one episode. So our last guy here is going to be Blastar, and Blastar, like I said, was in that negative zone, battling Annihilus for control of the negative zone, popped over into our world, and they carried out mass destruction. He looks really close to his on-show counterpart, and I think they did a really nice job with that. So I have no complaints on the style on this figure. And he comes with these two accessories here. And Blastar does have blast ability. So articulating head, no articulation in the arms because here I have the fire feature, which I'll show you in a moment, but he does have leg articulation. So you could load these blast effects into his arm. And they basically, I think you just pull them back and then, yeah, pull back and release. So you can pull back here. Whoop. I'll give it more of a pull. There we go. Nice launch effect. We're just wearing in these springs here. And then, yeah, this one doesn't want to. Maybe I'll try it, flipping it. Yeah, this one does not want to launch, but the other one launched pretty well. So hit or miss. But it's the 90s. We like things that fire. This one's using springs. Really great look to the character. I think they nailed it for the time period here as well. So that is your look at this series, featuring several new characters, as well as variants of characters that we already had in the line, as well as characters that were never in the show. Fun to add them to the line. You get a little bit of variety, but it's weird that they didn't take advantage of choosing more characters that were in the show instead. But I think at a certain point, you kind of get everybody in there and you just got to add some more fresh faces. So there you go. There's Series 2. All right, and that's our Series 2. We got some great additions to the line. I think a better version of Human Torch than that glow-in-the-dark version. Fun to have that spark effect in there, just to flame on really quick. And the invisible woman, which we never had a translucent or transparent version before, actually. And I think it came out really great. I really like this figure here. And then we get some fun guys that weren't even on the show. Thanos is great, always just to have a Thanos. Dragon Man, hit or miss. But yeah, I mean, we're adding some more villains to capturing a lot more of the episodes here, and we're getting that the building out our Inhumans characters, so we're going to see many more in future series. But this wasn't a bad wave to continue on after that great first wave. So that's all for now. We're going to have, of course, 3 more series of figure waves, and then we'll do another video just to capture all the vehicles and stuff at that point. So yeah, keep tuning back, like, subscribe, and follow, and we'll see you guys next time.